Hey everybody.
Welcome back. Start that.
So we were really prepared for this, obviously. Welcome back to Total Fitness Podcast. I'm Walter Young.
I'm Matthew Smith.
And today we're turning things around the opposite to what it was last week, where Matthew interviewed me so you could find out about me. I'm going to ask him some questions about himself, and that way
We can go get started.
we can
Yeah.
start right away. So,
Yeah. Well, I guess the background on me, right?
yeah.
So, like I mentioned before, I'm 22. I am a certified personal trainer. I've been training for 5 years now in the gym. My full workout backgrounds goes back to I think like 5 or 6 when my father and mom put me in Taekwondo. So I basically started my fitness journey with martial arts through the ages of 6 till now. I still do a bit of boxing. So I did black belts in Taekwondo. I did Aikido, Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, sorry, kickboxing, boxing, like all that sort of stuff. So that's how I kind of got my start. The reason I got into working out was I feel like a lot of reason at the time when you're 12 years old, I wanted abs because there was a girl I wanted to impress, and the guy that she liked had abs. So I figured, shit, if I have a nice six pack, she would obviously come for me because I have a better personality than that guy does. 12-year-old logic right there. That was the first reason. Second reason when I got into it very seriously was because of, or more seriously, I should say, was because of the rugby I was doing. I was 115 pounds playing rugby against guys that were like 170 pounds. I got a concussion, so you could imagine why I needed to gain weight. So I got a concussion from rugby. At that point, I just stopped and realized it wasn't a good idea to get hit in the head through boxing anymore or risk another concussion. I wasn't doing it professionally, so I just wanted to keep my activity levels up and got into bodybuilding that way, powerlifting, Olympic weightlifting. So I first started off doing some powerlifting and weightlifting. We had a good friend, family friend, that was an actual Olympic weightlifting coach, so he brought me through everything, taught me form right off the bat, so I didn't have any issue with that. Plus, I had my dad that was always in the gym with me, teaching me stuff. After that, I kind of switched over to bodybuilding after a few years, and then I just did bodybuilding. So I've done 4 different shows now for bodybuilding, and I don't plan on stopping, just like Walter said last week. I plan on doing it until I physically can't or die, I guess, is what it's going to happen. So yeah, that's pretty much the background when it comes to the fitness side of things.
All right. The fitness side of things. Okay, so let's talk about the other sides of things.
Right.
On other social media, you have talked a bit about dysmorphia
Yes.
and about bullying.
Yeah.
Do you want to go a little more into depth about that?
Yeah, so I think that kind of has to start again back in high school. I was a stick. I was super skinny. So I remember like even in grade 7 and grade 8, some girls and guys would always I'd be hunched over a chair, just like this, and people would come up behind me and like stroke my spine, being like, "Ew, you're so bony." Again, like at the time, I never thought anything of it, until I got into high school and tried gaining weight, right? So I started playing rugby, and again, I was the skinniest on the team. Guys would always kind of over tackle me, I guess you could say. Again, when you're super light, it's
Easy to
easy.
over tackle.
It's easy, right? So I'd have guys pick me up, dump me on my head. Teammates, not even opposing teams. My teammates would dump me on my head. So that was kind of like, shit, maybe I need to gain a little bit more weight. At the same time, as I was playing rugby, I was also in fashion design. So I was from grade 9 to 12 at my school. We did a fashion show, and I wanted to design clothes for the show. And as you can imagine, based on your backgrounds, the same thing happened to me. So I was called gay, I was called faggot, I was called all these things. And that never affected me. But it was just, people would always pick on me for that, plus the fact I was really skinny. And the worst came from even some of my own friends, like my good friends. They thought they were joking around and I would kind of laugh with them, but those were the people that really kind of got to me the most.
The ones above hurt you more.
Oh, exactly, right? So yeah, anyway, so that's kind of where it happened. Anyway, so grade 10, get the concussion. I start working out really hard in grade 11. At that point, again, I was more involved in the fashion. I was more involved in the arts, and I was really into weightlifting at this point. So those were my main three goals,
And musicals.
and musicals, and drumming, and whatever else.
Yeah.
Those were my main three: was doing the art show at my school, doing the fashion show at my school, and just lifting weights when I could. So that was pretty much every day, right? So I told people about it. I was like, I'm going to Ryerson for fashion design. I'm going to be the head of the art show next year. I'm going to be a bodybuilder. Those are the three things I told people. I was like, I want to be a fashion designer. I'm going to be a bodybuilder, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I remember people just coming up to me and basically laughing like, okay, he's going to be a bodybuilder, like whatever. Or, the fashion design was actually pretty believable at that point. So people actually believed me. But again, it was just more of the more masculine guys. And I say that in quotations that were, and the reason I say that in quotations, they were pretty, there was some stuff going on between them too. So as you probably know in that circle. But anyway, so there was the more masculine guys calling me out on that stuff just from the fashion. Again, never affected me. But with the art show, I had a good friend who was in my art class, and we were trying to kind of work together on this thing. And every day I go to the gym at lunch at school, and I come back, and he would come back to me. He's like, "Oh, Matt, you're getting so big. Oh my God, stop lifting the weights. Ha ha ha." And he would squeeze my arms. He's like, "Oh my God, you're so big." And that always sucked the most. And that went on for 2 years. So from grade 11 till the end of grade 12, that's all that happened from a really good friend of mine. And then I had that from pretty much everybody else too. Because they're like, again, when you first start lifting weights, people don't actually believe you're actually going to do anything. So they either support you at first, and then they see you're making results and they trash you. And then they see you making really good results and they ask you for advice. And that's basically the full circle.
Which they rarely follow.
Which they never follow.
Yeah.
So I went full circle with that, right? So I was at the stage where I had the support when I first started, and then I got back to school after the summer, and everybody was no longer supporting me, really. They were just kind of trashing me. And it came from the best friends, and it came from the more masculine, popular group of guys at school. So fast forward a few months, and it's the fashion show, and we're doing dress rehearsals. And I remember the worst, and I think this is probably where most of this all started. It was just awful. We're on stage, and if you know Ziz, so Ziz, for those who don't know, he was an Australian bodybuilder that was super big on social media back in like 2007, 2008, whatever. Super inspiring guy. He's unfortunately passed away, but anyway, so I followed him, and he had a signature pose where it was basically a bicep pose. So I was like, you know what? At the end of this runway routine, I'm going to hit a bicep pose. So that's what I did. And as I was doing that, I come off stage, and there's like these group of like 6 or 10, somewhere in that range of guys laughing at me, and they're pointing at me. They're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was like, oh, they're cheering me on. That's cool. And he's like, yeah, 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 you faggot. You don't have the right to do that, you fucking skinny. And walked away. And that fucking destroyed me. Again, not the gay slur, because I couldn't care less. I was like, I'm happy with the fashion. But the fact that they were like, you don't have the right to do that. You're fucking skinny. And then just laughing at me. Like, I did. I went home and cried, because I was like, holy shit. And I didn't want to be a part of this huge show that I was in charge of. So that really fucking sucked. So that's where I remember like most of the dysmorphia starting from, was basically just high school. Because it wasn't like the worst bullying, but it was enough that like my own thoughts of myself at that time, plus the fact other people were kind of going in on me, I was like, why the fuck? I look like shit all the time. Am I ever gonna make it out of? Am I gonna be the bodybuilder? Like, and all these questions just ran through my head, right? And that just followed me for like 6, 7 years of working out. So I was up and down. I never thought I looked good. I dropped out of university because I was so depressed and so anxious, and it wasn't even because of the fashion. I mean, I didn't like the program I was in, to be fair, but one of the main reasons I was so obsessed with my body, I couldn't focus at school. I couldn't focus on anything. I was like, I need to focus on my body. And I was just so anxious and oppressed all the time, thinking about, shit, can I have this piece of pizza or am I going to get fat? But I'm not fat. I'm skinny. I'm way too skinny. I need to gain weight anyways. But if I eat this, then it's not going to be muscle. It's going to be fat. And it just played back and forth and back and forth. You're fat, you're skinny, you're fat, you're skinny. And like, it was never, you look good. I did my first bodybuilding competition. I saw my abs and I was like, damn, this is awesome. The day it ended, I ate and I was like, holy shit. And it just went into a spiraling black hole. And that lasted for another 2-3 years, right? So that's where it all started. It really sucked. It was just high school and bullying, and the fact I was kind of not an outcast, but I was kind of on the outside because I went to a university prep school and I was doing the arts. I was trying to bodybuild, and I was naturally skinny, and that's pretty much how it all started. So hopefully that answered the question, but
Well, that answers how it started.
it answers how it started. Yeah.
How is it affecting you now?
So now
You still suffer.
Yeah, so I still do suffer a little bit. It's 10 times better now because I've actually gotten help from people. I've actually went to a therapist and talked about stuff like this. I figured out, how to deal with it. And I think the takeaway from that is I stopped looking at myself negatively. When I was doing all this stuff, like when I was thinking all these things, I was like, I need to be like this person. And that never works out. It was just, you can't be The Rock. You can't be Greg Plitt. You can't be Z's, whatever, whoever, right? You can be yourself.
2 out of 3 you just mentioned are dead.
Exactly, right? So,
Yeah.
good thing I wasn't. But, this is it. I couldn't be those people. And when I started, and it took time. It's not like it wasn't just overnight. I'm like, I'm going to be happy and start thinking more confidently about myself. It took fucking 8 years. When I started realizing, okay, I have to be very happy with my progress. I have to be happy with my progress, but I cannot just sit back and let it stay here. I have to be, okay, this is great. I've made progress. What's the next step? Or, if I ended up slipping a little bit, I'd be like, okay, I cheated on my diet. I don't look as good today, but you know what? That's okay because I'll go back on diet tomorrow. Or let's say, because I usually eat my cheat meals at night, I will go back on diet when I wake up in the morning and I'll get back on track. I'm not going to let this affect me. I'm lucky in the sense that I've never actually had a month where I was completely off diet, off training. It's always been consistent. I'll always stop myself before I get to the point of 2 days of binging. I'll be like, okay, I got a diet, and then I end up having a massive cheat meal that I shouldn't have had and binging, and I get back on diet right away. So I think that's where the healing process kind of started. Was I realized to surround myself with people that had more confidence and had more wisdom than I did, and asking them questions, and then going to therapy and figuring out who I wanted to be and what I wanted to represent as myself, where I wanted to kind of go with my bodybuilding, where I wanted to go with everything in my life. And again, the number one thing was be happy with your progress, but don't stay stagnant. I think that was really just the point for me, the biggest takeaway, I should say.
It's we walk a very fine line in bodybuilding.
Right.
We're judging the sculpture we are making on a daily basis and looking at it. And we know that we can go up or down depending on what we ate on any given day.
Right, yeah.
Things will soften, lines will soften or get harder again.
Exactly.
But we're always looking with that critical eye. And to keep that critical eye not
right.
obsessive is the difficulty.
Right, and I think the change for me too, and I think maybe for you, and you can go into this too, if I know a show I'm doing is in May, and it's January, I'm not focusing on May anymore. I'm not obsessing over every single thing, every single sleep, every single rest for May. Yeah. I'm thinking, what is the best I can do today? And I think you went into that a little last week, right?
Yeah. As long as you're doing your best every day, I think that's what counts.
Yeah, and I think that's the main thing. It's I'm very much the type of person that I'm especially when I was younger, I was I'm going to be a fashion designer, I'm going to be fucking DJ, I'm going to be millionaire, whatever, every kid dreams, right? And it was never just okay, if I'm going to be a DJ, this is step one, and I'm going to be famous. There was no carefully planned out, like small steps. It
That's
was,
every graduate of every acting school in the world.
but this is it, right? I was like, I never actually had a serious like small change. I would always just make the big goals because I was like, I would read online like, you don't need the small goals. Always aim big, like shoot for the stars, right? Those type of motivational quotes. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I don't need to think about the little things. No, you actually do because
You have to build a rocket ship.
exactly, and that's it. You can't just go to the stars without figuring out a way to how to get there.
Yeah.
And I think that was my biggest issue. Is like I will start bodybuilding, and in 3 months I'm going to look like Jeff Seed or Jeff Side, however you pronounce his last name. Or I'm going to start bodybuilding, and by the time I'm 20, I'm going to have an IFBB Pro card like so and so did. I'm like, I'm not genetically gifted like that. They had more years of training. They actually had a plan. I was just like, I'm going to go into the gym with my routine and my diet, and that's the end goal. But where's all the middle things, right? And hopefully this kind of makes sense. Does it make sense? You kind of
It does make sense.
perfect.
It's
Just to make sure I'm not rambling.
It's the whole changing your direction according to the wind speed that's hitting you.
Exactly,
As you're
right?
flying where you're going.
Yeah, and that's the plane analogy, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to adjust when new things come in, right? I think for the longest time, because I'm very much a structured, organized person, I think you are too a little bit. If my workout was thrown off, like if I didn't have 3 hours to work out, I'd be like, God damn it, what do I have to cut? And it would fuck with my
It's all
head.
gone.
It would screw with me so bad. I didn't do cardio today. Shit, do I have to do it tonight? Is that allowed? Can I even do cardio today? Oh my God, what am I gonna do? Oh my God, I missed a meal by 2 hours. Like, do I eat more? Do I eat less? Do I stay up an extra 3 hours just so I can eat and digest the food and then get less sleep? This is literally what was in my head 8 years straight. And then on top of that, because I hated myself so much, it was like, do I just kill myself? So it was like every day for like 8 years, it was okay. You can do this, and then you hit the wind hits you, and you're like, holy shit, what do I do now? And let's just off myself because I'm so depressed again, and my head's spiraling, and I don't know what to do. And that was pretty much the back and forth. It was like I'm doing well, I'm doing shit. I want to live, I want to kill myself. Like it will get better. It's never gonna get better. That was always what it was. 8 years. And I'm like, it hasn't gone away, but it has gone to the point where like if I get those thoughts, I'm like, that's like I know how to deal with that. Like, and I don't want to get into that today because that's a whole other can of worms. But like that's it. I know how to deal with it now. If those thoughts come in, I'm like, step back, reassess, change with the wind speed. I think that was pretty much it. Is I need to realize, be the best I can be.
Excellent. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about your favorite quotes.
Right.
First one. Do you want to read it?
Yeah, of course. So I'm a big fan of Greg Plitt. When he died, that kind of affects me pretty badly. So for those who don't know, Greg Plitt was a very decorated fitness model and cover model. He was the most decorated cover model, I believe. Like over 200 or 300 magazine covers or something. Super motivating guy. So his first quote was by him, and it's, second by second, you lose the opportunity to become the person you want to be. Take charge of your life. All right, so the reason for that would be I wasn't in charge of my life for the longest time. And it's still like I have to remind myself, like, these people are not controlling my life. I am the one who is in charge of it. If I don't want to do something, I can say no. Just even though it might offend somebody or it might, set me back a little bit. If it's in my best interest to say no, why shouldn't I say no? And I was very much I still am a people pleaser. Like if somebody asked me to come in and cover shifts or cover a client, whatever it is, I'll be like, yeah, of course, why not? Or if a client will text me, no joke, I had a client, I wanted my weekends after 12 p.m. off, and I had a client that would come in and he's like, hey, can we do 7 p.m. on a Sunday going forward? I was like, yeah, of course, man, that's totally fine. Because in my mind, I'm like, he would leave me if I can't say no. Or if I say no, his time is more valuable than my time. It's not. My time is just as valuable. So that's where I was like, I need to take charge and actually realize.
And you need to train your clients to respect your time.
That too, 100%, yeah.
You give in all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been as guilty of that.
Yeah, no, I feel like every trainer's kind of been through that a little bit, yeah. And then the second point with that is, again, if you're trying to get somewhere in your life and you're not fully in command of what you're wanting to do, if you're not making that plan, if you're not like, this is step 1, 2, 3, change with the winds, step 4, 5, 6, another change, it's never going to work out, right? So you have to be in command of what you're doing, how you're living your life in a reasonable way. Obviously, if you're hurting people along the way, that's not the way to do it. Do it for your best interest, but make sure you're doing it morally and empathetically, I guess. Number 2, this one is I failed is 10 times more of a man than someone saying what if, because what if never went to the arena. Again, it kind of relates to that first one. If you do something and you fail, like if you gave your best shot and you fail, you are 10 times, 100 times ahead of somebody that didn't even try. So when I was going through all my things, all my bullying and all that sort of stuff and body dysmorphia, I never reminded myself of this, but I was like, I needed to. A lot of the people that hated on me didn't work out. They didn't like. They just wanted to put me down, right? They just like he's passionate about something. Let's fuck up his confidence.
You're a dreamer, and dreamers are not always treated well.
Exactly, right? So that was it. I was like, I have to remind myself, okay, I'm doing something, but I failed, but they're doing nothing. So they're not even getting anywhere. Like, at least I get the experience. At least I have the opportunity. At least I gave it my all, and I can come back better the second time around. They're just sitting at home on the couch, flipping through channels, right? So I think that's a really good reminder for me as well. And then number 3, by Aziz, or Aziz Ansari, I believe his name is. I can't even remember. No, that's not it. Aziz Ansari, that's the comedian.
Yeah.
I can't remember his last name. But anyways, internet personality says, everybody one day will die and be forgotten. Act and behave in a way that you will make your life interesting and fun. Fuck a mundane, predictable life, working Monday to Friday with something you derive no pleasure from. Just living life out till you grow old and wither away is not a way of living. And I mean, like, it's pretty self-explanatory. Like, if you're not doing what you're passionate about, then what's the point of doing it? It may not make you money. It may not make you, a super rich person. It may give you struggles sometimes. You might hate it at times. But at the end of the day, if you're doing what you're passionate about, I believe that is in your best interest. And that will make you I shouldn't say you, I'm talking about myself. And that will make me the happiest. Like, if I'm doing what I want to be doing, that's what's obviously going to make me happy. Sure, there'll be some days where I'm like, again, do I have to go to the gym again? Do I have to listen to this mix again?
Absolutely.
This dress is not working out. Holy shit, do I have to restitch it? Like, I've been through this a million times, and it's like, I would never in a million years give any of that up. And I think that's perfect what he's saying. Like, do I want to be sitting in an office 9 to 5 just doing just working the books? No. So that's it. I mean, some people do. That's perfect. Like, again, it's your life. You do what you want to do. But for me, I knew what I wanted, and it wasn't the 9 to 5, and it's stressful, but it's what works for me. So
I think it harkens back to the Martha Graham quote from last week.
yeah,
we're each given gifts and opportunities, and if we don't use them because it's safer to do whatever.
Yeah.
All the money in the world isn't going to pay for the lost joy that you may have had in your life.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think you have to go in the direction of your heart. Ultimately, that's going to do it for you.
Yeah, and again, like, I went to university prep school, so my parents are amazing. I have to shout them out because they're so incredible in the fact that they actually let me do what I wanted to do. There were students at my school that their parents pushed them so hard into engineering or business or biomedical science, whatever it was. And I know these people still. Like, I still talk to a few of them. Like, one dropped out and he's making $100,000 a year at the age of like 20, 21 because he decided to go into a trade instead, right? His parents did not appreciate that in the slightest. They're like, we wasted all this money on you. We pay for university, and now you want to do this, and like, he's making money. And they still don't appreciate that. They're like, we want the status of, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you're an engineer. Like, people at my school, they wanted to show off. Whereas my parents were like, what do you want to do? When I dropped out of university, my dad asked me, he's like, or both my parents asked me, my dad asked the question though, but he was like, is this what you want to be doing? Like, don't take this the wrong way, but you know, if you're going to waste our money on something you want to do and actually continue
Long term.
versus, you know, doing 4 years of school and then realizing afterwards it's not what you wanted. And that really stuck with me. And I was like, yeah, I mean, at the time I was like, oh my God, I wasted my parents' money and they're so upset. And like, no, they were just like, don't waste money on something you don't want to be doing if you already know for a fact this isn't what you want to be doing. If it is and it just happens to switch later on, then great, keep going. Like, and that's it. My parents were just great that way. So,
You're lucky.
yeah, no, I was. So,
I mean, there are a lot of people who are being pushed the way that you were talking about your other friends being pushed.
exactly.
Into doing things that they absolutely don't want to do.
Yeah, and oh my God, the mental health problems that they have now, right, is just incredible because it's, I think, and this is the problem. It's like we are very like we were very privileged. Like my group, like the school I went to, we were privileged people. Like we were privileged kids. But I think with that comes a hiding, and I'm not just saying like if you're privileged or not privileged. Like if you're not privileged, you still have to hide a lot of what you go through, right, to kind of keep your status. I'm just talking from my experiences. I felt like I had to hide everything for years, and I didn't need to, but I just had that feeling because, you know, where I was in life, I didn't have the right to complain. I didn't have the right to be depressed or be sad or anxious or anything like that. So I just kept it all in, and then at some point it just blows up, and you're
Festers.
on top of a rooftop, and you're looking down, and you're like, this would be pretty easy. And then, you know, obviously, story goes, I didn't do it, but there you go.
Oh, really? I have memories like that of I worked in a mall.
Yeah.
And there was I guess, you could see down 3 stories.
Right.
And there's so many times I just thought just a swan dive right over would be
Yeah.
so easy.
Well, the problem for me was for a year and a half, I worked at a gym that was on the penthouse of a hotel. And we opened the doors all the time because it was beautiful in the summer. And I had
no air
access. I was trusted to open the gym and close the gym, so I had a key to the gym and I could go in whenever I wanted. So I'd be there at 7 p.m. on a Friday night while my friends are out partying, and I'd be crying, working out to try to get some of the pain away, and then looking over the edge for probably a good 30 minutes and debating back and forth. And is my girlfriend like, will my girlfriend, my parents take it the wrong way? Like, I just like, oh, but I don't care. Like, this is too much. And it's like, I didn't even write them a note. And I'm like, okay, it's going to pass. It's going to pass. And then I remember one of the worst times, actually, a good friend of mine ended up walking, you know him too, I'll just say British. He ended up walking into the gym while I was in one of these, and he pops his head out and he's like, oh, Matt, you're here. I was like, oh, hey, what's up, man? Like, I'm trying to, I didn't turn and face him. I just kind of like, you know, wiped away, and I was like, hey, I'm just on a call, pretended I was on a phone. And he was like one of the reasons I didn't do anything that day, right? Because that, like, at that point, that was just like, okay, I'm just gonna do it. And you never know, like, somebody walks in, you're like, oh, now I can't.
Someone's protecting you.
Yeah, seriously. And again, like I mentioned in the past, I'm not really spiritual, but like kind of, you know, whatever it is. I was like, okay, you know what? There was something there that day that, you know, kept me from actually doing this shit. So that's what it is. Anyways,
Good.
off the depressing stuff.
Yeah. So, anything else to say?
I mean, not really. Aside from the facts, like, guys, do not be a dick. You don't know what people are going through. If somebody's in the gym and they're struggling, if they're overweight, if they're skinny, if they're massive, just give them a compliment. Like, Jesus, they're in there for a reason. They're either trying to lose weight, they're trying to gain weight, they're trying to do something for sport.
Unless they're texting.
Then, by all means,
Say whatever you want.
throw a dumbbell at their face. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, it's so shit. It's just like, why do you have to open your mouth? Because, I mean, at this point right now, if somebody insults me, I can brush it off like that. It doesn't affect me because I've gone through this. But a lot of people have not been able to deal with it. And it's like, you say one thing and you think you may be even paying them a compliment. And then it's like, they're in a binge eating week on the, like, under the cover, like they haven't gone to the gym, they haven't gone to school, they haven't gone to work, they're just crying and crying and crying because all you said was, wow, you're looking extra, like you're looking a little fuller today, you're looking a little thicker today, like it's good. And you're saying that as a compliment, and they're thinking, oh my God, am I fat? Or in my case, was you're looking skinny today. Like you're looking a little skinnier today when I'm leaning out for a competition. I was like, what? And my head would fucking spiral.
I know I'm leaning out for a competition, but I guess I've just lost all my muscle mass.
Yeah, like
all
that's what goes through your head, right? Like you by all means take the reins
Yeah.
on this one. You know,
I've felt that many times where I've worked so hard to lean out because that's the hardest thing for me. I can put on muscle.
Yeah.
At my age, I can put on bulk,
yeah,
but getting back down
Bulk.
to lean is always well. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I've decided I don't want to call it a bulking phase. I want to call it a building phase.
building phase.
It
Yeah,
makes more sense to me.
progress phase.
But yeah, it's so easy to take the insult the wrong way. It's so easy
Yeah.
to hear the wrong thing. And there have been times where I've quit going to the gym for 2 years
right.
because someone said the wrong thing to me.
Really?
In the old days, yeah.
Damn.
So you always got to be careful that way.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is it. If somebody's, it's same with social media. You know, I follow a lot of people on social media that go through the same things that I've gone through or still going through the same things. And I think it helps them to post about it. So good on them. Like if it helps you to say, you know, record yourself crying and post it to your social media followers, that's great because then people understand what you're going through and then maybe they think twice. Then you also got the assholes who are like, why are you such a pussy?
Yeah.
Stop crying. Like, stop being such a little bitch. Oh my God, you look fine. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Or even better yet, when you have bikini models who lean down for competitions and guys are like, you looked more fuckable when you were thicker.
Yeah.
And I was just like, whoa.
That's really great.
And no joke, I know this one girl who, one of those comments really, really got to her because she had broken up with her boyfriend recently. And she was thinking that she wasn't that attractive because this guy was not a good guy. And holy shit, she just spiraled for about 2 weeks. Because one guy who she's never met before online basically said you looked more attractive in, you know, it's the lighter sense, more attractive when you were a little bit thicker.
In a purely physical, I don't know who you are
Yeah.
kind of way.
Right, but this is what I'm saying, right? It's like you don't know what people are going through. So if you're not going to say something that's anything nice, just don't say it at all. Right? I mean, that's
Yes,
pretty much
Grandma,
it.
that's
Yeah,
right.
it's basically it.
It's good advice that's been given for a long time.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, again, guys, if you're going through something like this, I do find it very useful to reach out to people that you can trust. If you don't feel you can trust anybody, then start a journal, write down what you're feeling, track each day, and kind of go over, like, how can you improve on that day? How can you improve on this feeling? Where did you mess up? Where can you be better? And at the end, like, again, the whole point of this is just be the best person you can be. If you realize, you know, these mental health issues and these thoughts are destroying your life, and the fact that you can't even get out of bed to go to work and you have to call in sick, cancel a client. I'm sure you've done that. Like, cancel a full fucking week's worth of clients because you just cannot deal with people because of something. Then, you know, it's time to start looking into ways of how to heal that and how to, you know, get out of your headspace. And again, we're not experts. We're not doctors. We're just two guys talking about our own experience. We're talking about our experiences, right?
That's it.
So the best advice I ever, and this doesn't work for some, it was just I needed to talk to a therapist. I needed to talk to a professional that I trusted and was good. And I got lucky. I got one on the first try and she was amazing. And it just worked out so well for me. And that was my way of navigating the end of that suicidal depression of 8 years. Yeah. Where, you know, I was managing myself and I thought I was doing fine, but like this was like, okay, how do I stop this now? Right? So that was what worked for me.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, so that was me.
So, we need your input. We need you to tell us what you're thinking, what sort of questions you'd like asked that we can work on ourselves to bring that kind of information to you. So please feel free to contact us through whatever method you're watching us on. Something just happened. Contact us in whatever way that you are watching us and give us your feedback, give us your questions. Okay? Do you have anything else to say?
That was pretty much it.
Okay, I have one
Join
last
us next
thing.
week. Oh, okay.
One last thing. Wash your hands a lot. Try not to touch your face. But don't let your life be taken away from you because of fear. Live your life as though there was no issue going on. Thanks.
All right, guys.